Thank you so much again, Ravi, for accepting to be part of this discussion. I thought it would be interesting to talk to you about some of the industry trends, especially with the GPT. I know you are a data scientist and you have a good background in terms of your undergrad and masters. So, yeah, tell me about yourself, how you ended up becoming a data scientist, and some of the projects that you're working on, right?
Sure, sure. Thank you for asking me to join. So I did undergrad and master's is from data science. Most of my experience revolves around IP and recommendation systems, building applications around it. And I've been doing some interesting applications using GPT Index or LangChain. You might have seen docs queues and video queues. A lot of interesting applications. Docs queues is a tool on which you can query using any document of any length, which I built using GPT Index. And video queues is on querying on videos using a transcript of the video or inbuilt transcript or generative transcript. So yeah, these are a couple of interesting projects that's with GPT Index.
So, speaking of projects, did you develop these projects because you were interested in it, or it's part of your job, like at your work?
I was always interested in GPT-3 can answer if you give some context to it with a limitation of 4096 tokens. But I was having a conversation with one of my friend. How can we do external knowledge on which GPT-3 can answer? He referred me to some retro models from DeepMind, then GPT Index and LangChain. These were in early developing stage. So I started exploring GPT Index. So I started experimenting with, I gave full butt paper by extracting all the text. It still answered all the results, even GPT-3 paper as well. It still answered. And I combined BERT and GPT-3 paper. I asked what is the difference, how are results different between these two papers. And so it is still giving answers.
You have a web application from an end user perspective. Behind the scenes, when I upload two documents, so these two documents will then be hosted into your models. And where are these models hosted?
It's on Gradio app. So I develop everything on Collab. So it uses a Collab server backend.
Okay, so you're not using any OpenAI's APIs there.
No, GPT Index and LangChain both uses the GPT-3 backend internally. That is the current trend, right? So people want to get answered from external knowledge by using GPT-3. So how to do that? So these libraries made things simplify.
I
Yeah,
like both of your applications, Ravi,
yeah.
Video Quest
Thank
and
you.
also the DocuQuest. This is very helpful. There's so much of knowledge out there in document format, in PDF format. You dump all this information in one repository and you run this model on top of that. And instead of searching, obviously you manually search for files, but if you want to have specific answers, you can't go over all these documents and get the crisp answer, right? So you can simply throw this into that repository, ask the question, get the answers. In some cases, there might be two years like, hey, I have these two documents. I need to know the difference. Like, let's just say you're working with a third party vendor and they have some kind of policies and some kind of terms and conditions. Organization might have a different terms and conditions. You wanted to see if there is a gap between the language, what they are giving to you and what you have within yourself. The moment I saw that application, I was like, this is absolutely necessary for especially the ones who have so many documents out there. Do you have plans of taking that prototype proof of concept product to next level?
Yeah, we are still in the testing phase. We are trying to reach out some customers and get feedback whether it will be scalable or not.
In marketing and business, there is this thing when you want to enter into this new market, people often look at, is it easily copyable or is it easily replaceable?
See, if you know the underlying technology, they would be able to replicate. But when I have shown these applications to some of my friends, even in the AI field, who are in this field, data science field or AI field, whatever it is, playing with a lot of GPT-3 or ChatGPT or diffusion models tools, they don't know about the existence of these tools. So at least at the current pace, it would be a bit difficult, but if they want to dig down into it, yes, it can be done.
I agree with that statement because not many people have heard about GPT until ChatGPT kind of took over. If you
Yeah.
ask even to the people who have heard about ChatGPT, what GPT stands for, they wouldn't be able to tell. That's for sure.
Yes, yes. I have seen someone mentioning on Twitter, if you sleep, if you take a break for a week at the current pace, it's like you are sleeping for a year.
That is very true. I know AI and machine learning, these two words are not new to the industry. We've been listening to this. Hey, we have this tool and we have this AI capability and we can do magic. The other day, I was actually looking at a tool which gives you a presentation deck. Just give it a phrase saying, "Hey, get me a presentation deck for doing XYZ," and then it's going to give you like 7-8 slides, and you can start editing from there. Google has officially announced that they are going to release this new tool called Bard AI, which is built on top of Lambda, which Google has been doing research for the very long time. I know people are talking about ChatGPT is going to kill Google. Do you think ChatGPT is going to be a killer replacement for Google?
Very tricky question, that too on public forum. But yeah, personally, I don't think ChatGPT will be a totally replaceable thing for with Google. It does give really good competition to Google. And also one good thing which I liked about this whole revolution is for a long period, Google just dominated. But a company with 125 smart people is giving the trust for Google to develop at a really fast pace. Right? If not for OpenAI, probably the space at which the revolution is happening, we would have not seen, right? Yeah, to answer your question, I don't think it's a replaceable tool for.
So
I
it's a
have lot of
complementary tool.
yes, yes. So because I have seen it a lot of places. One thing I can share is one. So with ChatGPT, whenever I get stuck with some error, I go to ChatGPT and I ask. Sometimes it really helped. Sometimes the solutions were not helpful. What it does is probably there are 11 Stack Overflow pages for that problem to give solution. 10 solutions which are not working, it's summarized. I have to look for 11th one. So the 11th one I have to go search and do on Stack Overflow or get on something on Google. Yeah, so this is my experience. So Google is needed, even though
Exactly.
ChatGPT. Yeah, but again, the time factor at which I could solve the error is reduced. Even as you mentioned, PPT, right? So we are doing a demo. I just typed some description on ChatGPT interface and I asked it to give some bullet points. It's a 1 minute task done. Within 5 minutes, your presentation is done.
Another really asked question is, will AI replace human workers? Will AI replace programmers?
When I'm experimenting with GPT-3 and ChatGPT, since I'm working on NLP problems, so now I felt the role of NLP engineer doesn't exist after probably 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
It will
really?
just, I mean, most of the tasks can be done by GPT-3, right? Why do you even need someone having an experience of 10 years in NLP to solve some basic applications? Might
Wow.
not be needed, right? So I don't know. The answer
So
is I don't.
what do you think data scientists, machine learning, and AI practitioners should start doing from now to avoid that situation? Like, what do you suggest?
Keep updated always, and you need to add skills in your. It's not based on your experience going forward. Like I have 10 years of experience, okay, and then I'll be getting some job or job is stabilized, because seeing the layoffs, no, even if you work at Google or Microsoft or any man company, no, your job is not stabilized, right? Keep on updating with the field.
Yeah.
The only thing to do.
That's the only solution. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with your statement. So for someone who just started their education, or someone who wants to aspire to become data scientist, or who wants to become a machine learning engineer or an AI engineer, what are your recommendations? Where do you think they should get started?
According to me, in anything, build end-to-end system. Okay,
Okay.
take some problem. Let's say even docs queues itself. Let's say I just built some radio app over it, right? So this is a problem statement. I want to compare resumes between multiple people, and I want to get results in very short period of time for hiring managers or recruiters. This is a problem statement, right? So start with the problem statement and how can we solve it? Whether first the question is, can this problem be solved without using AI or ML, first of all? If it can be solved with AI, then don't go for it. In fact, for AI and ML solutions. Once you decide that, yeah, ML solution is required, then drill down of, yeah, you know the process, right? The collecting data and doing some media stuff and then building models. Once you reach a good metrics where you are satisfactory that this can be used, now go for deploying stage to production, make a website or show how like as I showed docs queues, even I did not open source it much. Yeah. So deploy it, and so that users can submit some queries and get answers. So this is an end-to-end solution, so that someone, a recruiter or someone, a manager seeing your profile will know that, yeah, you know how to take a problem statement, deploy it, and give it to users. Yeah.
So they'll get to know hey, this guy is a doer rather than talker.
Yeah.
So are there any IDs and tool recommendations from a platform perspective? Like what programming language should I pick? What tool should I be using? And what packages should I start exploring?
See, the field is very broad, right?
Yeah.
Someone wants to work in computer vision, or someone wants to work in recommendation systems, or someone wants to work in NLP, or specifically maybe tabular data, or maybe medical field,
Okay.
right? So each one has their own set of tools, but the main basic tool will be Python. From there, you'll be starting.
Okay.
And then you might pick a problem and probably training of models on PyTorch or TensorFlow based on the model which it is built. Probably most of the models will be mostly in PyTorch. So Docker is something I recommend learning for learning
Okay.
people.
So it's Python, and for deploying technology, you recommend to use Docker. So what do you think is going to happen again with Google coming in with Bard? Is it going to be as similar as ChatGPT, or it's going to be better or not so better than ChatGPT?
I don't know. Seeing the way Google is also proceeding, we should expect good results. But I have seen one of my close friend on LinkedIn. He said he's a beta tester for Lambda.
Okay.
So he said the responses were not so encouraging.
Okay.
That's what his initial comment. And then one of my friend who is working at Google, he experimented with Lambda. Lambda is there for internal Google users, I guess. What he said is Lambda outputs are more like human generated outputs. So if you see ChatGPT, they are more like machine generated outputs, right? So
Yes.
there are some output I got. So yeah, we need to see. I can't comment anything on that side.
Another interesting news that I heard, there were some institutions which are trying to ban ChatGPT for students to use it. Do you think it's a good idea or a bad idea?
What I feel is, as we, at least in college, we learn how to write, right? Our creative process increases, right? So we don't want to see the only author that is being left on earth after a few years is only ChatGPT, right? We want some new authors who are creative and tell different stories. After all, ChatGPT is trained on human written stories or text, right? So if the total process is replaced by ChatGPT, then the whole creativity is lost.
I've looked at a couple of videos by Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI. He mentions multiple times that using artificial intelligence responsibly, like the word responsibly is being used multiple times. I'm not sure if it's a thing that we should be scared of, or if it's a thing that everyone should look at it with some kind of caution. There are solutions out there right now in the market where the solutions can tell if it's an AI generated text or it's a humanly written text. So as a data scientist, is it really possible to, if a text generated by AI can be detectable? So do you think an algorithm can tell if a text is generated by another algorithm?
I mean, we are at a stage where some machine is generating some text, right? And some machine is trying to replace artwork
Yeah.
entirely,
Yeah.
right? Some people are developing robots that can replace or assist humans. So if you are believing and seeing all these things, what made you stop to believe that some algorithm can detect that it is written by some other algorithm?
That is a
It
very smart answer, Ravi. Yeah.
For some companies, or even as you said, if these things are used in colleges, professors at Indian universities have these paraphrasing tools as well to detect paraphrasing. Even in US, right?
Yes.
Same thing, same kind of tools will come for machine generated things or text or the tools. I mean, detect GPT is something we have to detect whether it is written by GPT.
Tech GPT. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then even OpenAI has released last week some tool. So I think the minimum characters is 1,000 or something that it can classify. Yeah.
Well, this has been really, really thought-provoking conversation, but thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thanks. And I really loved talking to you, meeting new person.